Greetings, it's Ian from RTO here. Welcome to Picks and Mix, where we mix it up. And this week we're mixing it up, which means we're going to be looking at a producer. And today's producer is the late but great Peter Collins, born in 1951. Sadly died just over a year ago, in June of 2024. Worked with many of bands and just had a great career. He ended up in Nashville producing some country singers, so which is pretty good, but he has produced many a good album. So the idea is here I go through all these albums and then I'll pick my top 5. So let's have a look at what Peter Collins, and it's surprising who he did produce over the years. So it all began for him in 1980. And he worked with the Lambrettas. Remember them? They were a mod revival band. Got their name from the iconic scooter. And their album was called Beat Boys of the Jet Age. Some good tracks on here. It's got their version of Poison Ivy, which was a big hit for them, and Cortina Mark II. 1981. He's back with the Lambrettas on their Ambience album. Written in Neon's pretty good, and the title track Ambience, I do like that as well. 1982. He goes and works with a great band, a British heavy metal band, Tigers of Pantang, on the Cage album, the album that's got Love Potion number 9 on it, which is the Clovers thing, and A Letter from LA. Really, really good. 1982, he produces The Youth of Today by Musical Youth. Yes, that is Come Back With Me Apple Pie. It's got Pass the Dutchie on there, and Never Gonna Give You Up. Then he goes and does a bit of pop. You remember the Bell Stars? Yeah, 1983. Sign of the Times and their version of Iko Iko. Yeah, oh, everyone remembers that. There you go. Peter Collins produced their album. They were a British female rock pop band. Then he does the second Musical Youth album, Different Style, in 1983, which has got a track on it, Tell Me Why She's in Trouble, that was actually written for Michael Jackson. Staying with 1983, he goes and works with comedian Tracy Ullman on a You Broke My Heart in 17 Places. Yes. Two big hits off that album, Move Over Darling and They Don't Know. Then he goes and works in 1984 with Nick Kershaw on his Human Racing album, which has got What Do You Mean to Be Good and I Won't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. Then he goes and works with Jermaine Stewart, of all people. It's an alright album, The Word Is Out, Debbie's an alright song. Then, staying in 1984, he works with Matt Bianco. Remember them? Get Out Your Lazy Bed. Brilliant track. I remember that. Then they're sneaking at the back door. So it's not a bad album, that. I listened to it not so long ago and I thought, well, it's not too bad. Then he's back with Nick Kershaw for the Riddle album, Don Quixote is a very good track, and The Riddle. Then he's gone back in 1984, very, very busy. He went back to do Tracy Ullman's You Caught Me Out album. Little by Little is a good fun track, and Bad Motorcycle's just a real good rocky sort of thing. 1985. Worse with Air Supply. Yeah, not a particular favourite of mine. There's only one track on there that's worth listening to, and that's Sandy. also in 1985. He works with one of my favourite guitarists, Gary Moore, and on my favourite Gary Moore album, Run for Cover. Lots on here that are brilliant, but Military and Man, and of course Out in the Fields, a film line that sticks out. Staying in 85, he's working with Rush on the Power Windows album. I do like Manhattan Project on there and Marathon. Very good. And then he works with Billy Squier in 1986. Now, we've mentioned Billy Squier before. He's an American rock singer. Great stuff. Enough Is Enough was the album he worked on. Shot of Love is a brilliant song off that, and Break the Silence. Then he's back with Gary in 87 for the Wild Frontier album. Over the Hills and Far Away. Brilliant. Wild Frontier, again a brilliant song. Staying in 87, back with Rush for Hold Your Fire. Not one of my favourites, but I do like Force 10 and Time Stands Still. Excellent tracks from that album. 1988 now. Goes and works with what a great band, and my favourite album by this band is Queensryche and Operation Mindcrime. Brilliant album. The title track's brilliant, and Breaking the Silence are powerful tracks from that album. Remember this pop band, Voice of the Beehive, Anglo-American alternative pop band. Let It Be, What You Have Is Enough, and Play Walk on the Earth are pretty good tracks. Back about Gary Moore in 1985 for the not so popular After the War. I do like this though. Lead Clones, the song with Ozzy Osbourne, and the rocker Ready for Love. Also in 1989 he works with the legendary Tom Jones on At This Moment. The only track on there that's worth talking about is Kiss. Staying in 1989, works with a band called Wax. Now they're a new wave duo that were Andrew Gold, remember him, Never Let Us Slip Away, and Graham Gouldman from 10cc. The album was called 100,000 in Fresh Notes, and I could not find one track on there that really rang my bell. I was not impressed with it one little bit. I'd never heard it, and I'll never want to hear it again. Okay, 1990. He works with an artist called Jane Weldon. And we all know who she is. She was in the Go-Go's, wasn't she? It's alright, this album. I wouldn't say it's the best album I've ever heard. It's okay. I wouldn't be too impressed with it. Then he's back with Queensryche for Empire. Della Brown and Hand on Heart are excellent tracks on there. Then he goes and works with another legend, Alice Cooper, on the Hey Stupid album. Hey Stupid is great, and Feed My Frankenstein in 1991. This was great tracks from that album. Then we go and work. He works with back in 91. He works with a band called Ciara. They were an American rock band. I'd never heard them, but boy are they good. And this is an album called When the Blackbird Sings. The title track is fantastic, and Lion's Den is another really good track. Go and check that out. 1992. Goes and works with a band. They're a rock musician duo from Georgia. They're called the Indigo Girls, which was Amy Ray and Emily Sayers. 3 hits in Airplane are pretty good tracks. It's not a bad album. I'd never heard it, but I had a listen to it and I thought it was pretty good. Then they went with he worked with a thrash band called Suicide Tendencies on the Art of Rebellion. Not a brilliant album, but I do like Accept My Sacrifice and Monopoly on Sorrow. Probably the best 2 tracks on there. The rest are pretty mediocre. 1993 is back with Rush on the Counterparts. A great album. A great comeback album for them. Animate and Stick It Out are the outstanding tracks on that album. back with the Indigo Girls for Swamp Ophelia. A Reunion is a very, very good track on there, and this Train Revised is good as well. Staying in 1994, works with a American singer-songwriter called Nancy Griffith on an album called Flyer. On Grafton Street is a wonderful track. Grafton Street, I think it's all about the one in Ireland, and This Heart, very good tracks. 1995, he works with Bon Jovi on These Days album. Not a particular favourite of mine, but I do like High God and Something for the Pain. Back with Rush for 1996, Test for Echo. It's an okay album, but I do like the title track and The Colour of Right. Staying with the same year, he works with an Australian rock band called Divinals and their album For Underworld. I managed to find a copy of this on Spotify, and I thought it was a pretty decent album. For a Good Time's a good track, also their title track, Underworld. Back with Queensryche in 1997. Not the best album here in the Frontier now, but The Voice and Inside Hero are pretty solid tracks on that album. Then he goes and works with a band called Save Ferris, which is a ska punk band. On their album It Means Everything. Super Spies and Lies are okay. Nothing brilliant. Then he goes and works with the band. I'd never heard of these either. Letter to Cleo. The album's called Go. They're from an alternative band from Boston. Because of You and Vedder, Very Shining is okay. Then in 1998 he goes and works with legendary rockabilly guitarist from the Stray Cats, Brian Setzer, with his orchestra on the Dirty Boogie. The Dirty Boogie is great. And Noisy Joe, I just love that rockabilly sound with the band as well. Excellent. Sean Mullins, Soul's Core. Now Sean Mullins is a sing-writer folk thing. Not bad. September in Seattle's pretty good, and On a Rainy Night. Jewel. Now Jewel is Ghoul Kitchener, an American singer and poet, and her album Spirit. Interesting little album. Kiss the Flame and Do You Are Okay. Goes and works with Nancy Griffith again on the Dust Bowl Symphony, The Wing of the Wheel and Tell Me How. Absolutely brilliant tracks. That was 1999. New Millennium. First band he works with is Ultra Spank and their album Progress. They're an American new metal band from California, and I weren't too impressed with them at all. But then he goes and works again with Brian Setzer on the Vavoom. It's a covers album, but he does two great covers. The Glenn Miller Pennsylvania 65000, brilliant version of that, and he does an outstanding version of Mac the Knife. 2001, band called Systematic, American rock band from California, on an album called Somewhere in the Between. Not a bad album, I didn't mind listening to that. If only Popeye and Of Lesser God are pretty good tracks, I like them. 2002 is working with Lisa Lehab, who had that big hit in the 80s with Still I Miss You, and the album Cake and Pie. It isn't too bad. We Could Still Belong Together and You Don't Know Me are okay. Okay then, also in 2002 he's back working with the Indigo Girls on their 2002 album Become You. The title track's pretty good, and Bitterroot I did like then. Takes you 2003 off, and back in 2004 he's back with the Indigo Girls on the All That We Let In. Tether and Rise Up, pretty good tracks. Maybe featuring them on a future Ladies' Day. That music does sound really good. Okay, it's 2004. Sandra McCracken next, independent singer-songwriter. An album called Best Laid Plans, No More Tears, and Stay, and in brackets, Missing Evidence. Pretty solid tracks on there. 2005 now. He works with Beth Nielsen Chapman, an American singer-songwriter, and her album Look, right back into the feeling, and Will and Liz, pretty good tracks on there. 2005 again, works with another American singer-songwriter, Courtney Jane, and an album called Travelling Light. The track Travelling Light's good, and Love Song for Everyone, pretty good. He then goes and works with Rick Astley on a cover album called Portrait. He does some really good covers on here, and I Love You So is pretty good, and Cry Me a River, brilliant, great songs. Then he works with, this is an interesting band, they're called Carbon Leaf in 2006. They have an alternative Celtic folk-infused indie, and their album Love, Lost, Hope, Repeat. The title track is brilliant. I'd never heard this album, really enjoyed it, might look at more of their stuff. And International Airport is a pretty good song as well. Staying with 2006, back working with Nancy Griffiths on a Ruby's Torch album. Grapefruit Moon is good and drops from the faucet. Yes, faucet for those in England, the faucet is a tap. Then we get to 2007 and working with Kenny Loggins, remember him, Footloose and all that, and he brought out an album called How About Now. Not very good. I'll Remember Your Name's alright, that's about it. Then there's a bit of a gap. It's 2011 before he works again, and he's working with Indigo Girls on the Beauty Queen Sister album. Pretty good album. Title track's good, and Able to Sing is another outstanding track. 2012 works with a supergroup called Flying Colours. Now, this band are composed of Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater, Dave LaRue from Dixie Dregs, musician Casey McField, Neil Merce from Spock's Beard and Transatlantic, and Steve Dixie Dregs, Deep Purple. This is a cracking album. It's called Flying Colours. The whole album's brilliant, but Shoulda, Coulda, Woulda is a brilliant song, and Love Is What I'm Waiting For, excellent album. Go and check that out if you like any of these guys. You're going to love that album. 2014 now. Works with Drake Bell. Oh, his name's really Jared Brake. He's a child actor, and he made an album called Revdy Sco, and he appeared on the Home Improvement. Doesn't mean anything. He does three, they're all covers, and there's three on here that are really, really good. The Kinks' Sunny Afternoon is not bad. Billy Joel's Rock and Roll to Me, and then the Runaway Boys, Stray Cats. Talking of the Stray Cats, he's working with Brian again on the Rockabilly Riot All Original in 2014. Great track on it called Vinyl Records, and I Should Have a V8. And the last thing that I think that Peter did before his death, he worked with the Stray Cats on their 40 album, Rock It Off and Desperado. Some absolutely brilliant albums in there. Okay, this is the hard bit when I had to choose my top 5, and there's a couple of surprises in here. So coming in at number 5 is one of those surprises, an album that I'd never heard 3 months ago, and it's Ciara, When the Blackbird Sings, came out in 1991. Now the band are Sandra Sandy Ciara on lead vocals and tambourine, Tony Bruno Ray on lead and rhythm guitars, Chuck Bonafante on drums, Barry Dunaway on bass, Johnny Rigo on rhythm, guitar and keyboards. Tracks on here are Queen of Sheba, great little track, Bring Back the Light, Hitching a Ride, When You See Me Again, Tear Down the Wall, Seducer, When the Blackbird Sings, brilliant song, my favourite on the album, followed by The Lion's Den, In the Shade of the Sun, White Highway, New World. Brilliant album, just good old-fashioned rock. Sandy is a great singer. Go and check that album out. I think it's on YouTube, so go and have a listen to that. Number 4 for me is the supergroup Flying Colours, Steve Morse and Dave LaRue from Dixie Dregs, and Steve Morse, of course, Deep Purple, Casey McPherson, who's played on lots of stuff, Neil Morse from Spock's Beard and Transatlantic, and Mike Portnoy, who's been in every band you can think of, from Dream Theater to Sons of Apollo to Transatlantic. Brilliant drummer. Some great tracks on here. Blue Ocean, the strumming's fab. Shoulda, Coulda, Woulda, my favourite track. Kayla, lots of harmony singings on that. The Storm, some superb drumming on that. Forever Date is a bit funky. Love Is What I'm Waiting For. Great track. Love Changes. I mean, Everything Changes. Steve Morse guitar on that is brilliant. Better Than Walking Away. A little virtuoso between the two Morses there. All Falls Down, Fall in My Heart, which Mike Portnoy sings. It's very good. And Infant Fire. I came across this band about a year ago, and this album is killer. Absolute killer. Okay, coming in at number 3, we have got Rush's Counterparts from 1993. Animate, brilliant track, absolutely corker. Stick It Out, my favourite track on the album. Heavy track, Welcome Back Rush, from that horrible keyboard 5. Cut the Chase, brilliant bass line from Geddy. Nobody's Hero, Between the Sun and the Moon, all brilliant tracks. Alien Shore, The Speed of Love. One of the tracks has still got a bit of that 90s in there, but it's the only one. Double Agent, brilliant. Leave That Thing Alone, really good. Cold Fire, Everyday Glory. This was that album that they came back from the poppy synthy sound to proper guitars. Great album. My number 2 album is my favourite Gary Moore album, Run for Cover from 1985. Gary Moore's on here, Glenn Hughes, Phil Lynott, Andy Richards, Neil Carty, Don Airey, Bob Daisley, Gary Ferguson. Some absolute brilliance. The brilliant Run for Cover opens it up. Reach for the Sky, Glenn Hughes' vocals are brilliant on that. The brilliant Military Man, Phil and Gary. It's a song actually by Grand Slam, which is Phil Lynott's band, which I've actually seen. Great cover. Empty Rooms, a sort of remix version. There's too much keyboard on it, but it's still a great track. Out in the Fields, a classic. Nothing to Lose, absolutely heavy as hell. Great vocal from Glenn. Once in a Lifetime, killer guitar track on there. All Messed Up, brilliant live. Listen to Your Heartbeat is the mare on the album, but apart from that, the whole album is absolutely superb. But my favourite album from Peter Collins and what he's produced is, of course, Operation Mindcrime from Queensryche. Jeff Tate, Michael Whitten, Chris DeGarmo, Scott Rockenfield. Why you've got on here? I Remember Now, Anarchy X, Revolution Calling, Operation Mindcrime, Speak, Spreading the Delays. Great track. The Mission, Sweet Sister Mary, The Needle Lies, Electric Requiem, That Little Piece, wonderful. Breaking the Silence, I Don't Believe in Love, Waiting for 22, My Empty Room, and Signs of a Stranger. What an album! You just put the album on, play it all the way through. You cannot get any better than that from Queensryche. So there we go. A real mixed bag there from Peter. He's worked with rockers, pop. You know, very sad when he passed away. His contribution to the music business was just superb. Anyway, that's all for today, but we're going to kick off with a live album ranking tomorrow of Irish, Celtic, punk, whatever you want to call them, the Pogues, and we've got a brand new album from Pat Menenthi. Can never say his name. I might get it right one day. And Moondial. So have a great day, everyone. Bye for now.